You're listening to the Constitutional Crusader Show on the American Voice Radio Network. I am your host, Roy Ben Shadler, constitutional counselor, and still all-around pain in the rear end to bureaucrats and petty thugs all over. My friends, did you get the little letter? I got one. I'm holding it right here in my hands here. From the U.S. Department of Commerce, Economics and Statistics Administration, U.S. Census, and in the upper right-hand corner, the dead giveaway that this is not an official government mailing to you. It says, pre-sorted first-class mail, postage and fees paid, U.S. Census Bureau permit number G-58. If this was an official government mailing, they'd use their own mailing agency known as the United States Postal Office and mail these things, and they wouldn't have to do that. They just simply say, this is our authority, U.S. Census Bureau, boom, and put that down there. But no, evidently, here's your evidence right here, more evidence. It's not an official agency, but they sent a friendly little letter. So I opened it up. It's addressed to Dear Resident at a apartment, blah, blah. About 1 week from now, it reads, you will receive a 2010 census form in the mail. When you receive the form, please fill it out and mail it in promptly. Your response is important. Results from the 2010 census will be used to help each community get its fair share of government funds for highways, schools, health facilities, and many other programs you and your neighbors need. Without a complete, accurate census, your community may not receive its fair share. Thank you in advance for your help. Sincerely, Robert M. Groves, Director, U.S. Census Bureau. Now that the census is coming out, an article by Gary D. Barnett entitled Conspiracy, Census, and the Case for Secession. Very interesting article, my friends. You don't want to miss it. So, you're listening to the Constitutional Crusader Show on the American Voice Radio Network. I am your host, Roy Ben Shadler, rabble-rouser and gadfly extraordinaire. You stay right where you're at because we will be right back.
Vitamin E prevents internal blood clots, but not all vitamin E is equal. Would you like to get a vitamin E that makes blood flow more smoothly than Plavix, but with no harmful side effects? 4-Spectrum Natural Unesterified Vitamin E Complex has been called WD-40 for your blood. It actually lubricates the blood while it dissolves plaque. It prevents platelet aggregation and internal clotting. It neutralizes smoke, fumes, waste, and other harmful free radicals. Doctors report relief from angina, painful leg cramps, strokes, fibrocystic breast tumors, circulation problems, and much more. Get 1 bottle for $35 postpaid, 2 bottles for only $60 postpaid. Restore this vital nutrient removed from your food supply through food processing. Read more at 4spectrum.us, spelled number 4spectrum.us. Call 800-581-8906. That's 800-581-8906. Order today.
Our nation was intended to be several states with a federal system to oversee the protection of individual rights. It has become a single nation state, with all controlling coming from a central planning leviathan. This is an untenable situation and was bound to lead to tyranny. This, and in and of itself, is reason enough to pursue secession. First, let's look at the census issue. As stated in Article 1, Section 2 of our Constitution, quote, representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states, which may be included within this union, according to their respective members, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons excluding those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years of the first meeting of Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative. My friends, do you recall any amendment to the Constitution that changed that last sentence? If you do, point it out to people. Now, there's a couple of things that stand out in this passage. First, an actual enumeration, simple head count, shall be made every 10 years. This count of heads is all that is authorized by the Constitution and is to be done so that a proper ratio between the representatives and the people can be determined, and also to determine the proper apportionment of direct taxes among the several states. As an aside, the number of representatives has been fixed at 435 since 1911. Gee, that's an interesting date. What else happened in 1911? The total population of the United States in 1911 was 93,836,000. Obviously, our population has increased almost 3.5 times since then without any change in representation. Secondly, the writers of our current Constitution said that there should not be more than 1 representative for every 30,000 people, and going forward from the original 65 members, the rule of 1 representative for every 30,000 people was generally accepted. As I will discuss later, there were no fixed upper limits on the number of representatives, but the founders did caution against too large a number. But why? The ratio of representatives to people was not exact, as heavily populated centers would have fewer representatives per capita, but the end result was to be full and fair representation of all the people. Since the number of representatives has been fixed for almost 100 years, what is the point of the current census? Since no additional representation is even being discussed and no talk or legislation exists to change this number, is the census now valid and/or constitutional? I do realize that specific district changes do occur, and that apportionment of some taxes, actually very little, is still constitutional. But I think a very good argument could be made that not only is the modern census completely unnecessary, but that it might now be unconstitutional as well, due to the fact that the primary reasoning for this count has been thrown aside by the federal government. If no count would result in a change of representation, then the costly and invasive U.S. Census should be stopped immediately. Obviously, the modern census count is used not to determine representation as originally intended. Did you listen to the language of the letter I read you? Hello. But it is used as a tool to determine the improper and unconstitutional amounts of wealth redistribution, and to gain personal and private information about the citizenry. The coming census also includes a precise mapping by GPS of every address. What in the world does locking in my home position on a government database have to do with representation or apportionment? This information, by the way, is none of their damn business. This is in and of itself is reason enough to scrap this invasion of privacy, because the entire census count is nothing more than a farce to help expand government interference into private matters.
You're listening to AVR, the American Voice Radio Network. We're on free-to-air KU band satellite at Galaxy 19 at 97 degrees west, frequency 11836 vertical with symbol rate 20.770, PID left audio channel. Visit our website at theamericanvoice.com.